The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. It would help if I turned the camera on, wouldn't it? Hey, hi, coming to you cordless. It's the giant head from Minneapolis. It's Tuesday night, July 23rd, 2024. It's 11 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 a.m. in Singapore, 2 p.m. in Sydney, Australia. And here where I'm sitting in downtown Minneapolis, it's 10 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Oh, God, I can't talk. Why am I on the intertube? I have no idea. It's 10 p.m. here in Minneapolis. I'm Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters Tonight. This is episode 139, if you're keeping score at home. And yeah, my God, it's like it was quite a weekend to keep score, wasn't it? Holy shit. So we didn't do a show last night, and that was there's a part of me that thought that's terrible because there was so much news over the last week. It's mind-boggling. I got my friend David Strom over at Hot Air. He wrote a column just about the fact that there's so much damn news. It's unbelievable. What was the name of his column? Hold on, I actually wrote it down. It's pretty amazing. He wrote a column called "This is the weirdest political period of my life." That's what it is. Now, David has not only been a journalist, he's also worked on Senate campaigns, and he's been a campaign manager and all that sort. He's been a speechwriter for politicians, all that sort of stuff. And he's right; it was pretty damn strange, and it's more strange than you even know. We got news here today to tell you about this because, there's stuff that happened that you don't even know about that the mainstream media isn't even covering. And I'm not talking about conspiracy shit. This is stuff that's been verified that basically no one's really reporting. And I'll tell you about that in a second. So what's happening tonight? Yeah, it's monologue Monday and Tuesday. Santa was going to be joining us tonight. I asked him to lay off for a little bit because we got too much news. So he's going to be coming on next week. So now you're wondering, why is Santa coming on? It's the whole Santa Christmas in July thing. Actually, it isn't. We had Santa on the first week in January. Santa was supposed to be on our last show before Christmas. Can't remember the date. I think the 23rd, I think it was. I can't remember, of December. He was supposed to be on. Something came up, family emergency for Santa. He couldn't make it. So he came on the first week of January, and I'm talking to Santa afterwards. I'm thinking, what do you do during the rest of the year? And he does stuff, and I thought, well, why don't you come on and talk about that? Because no one ever checks in on Santa other than December. No one ever does. So I thought, well, let's have Santa on a few times in the year, and we'll just figure out what's going on there. So if you want to see Santa, he's actually on our highlight reel, which is on YouTube and Rumble. We made a highlight reel, 10 minutes from the first 100 shows, and Santa's on there if you want to see him. He's pretty funny. So that's tonight. I'm yakking. Tomorrow night, Ashton Forbes is joining us. Now, this is going to be really, really fascinating. This guy has a theory of what happened to Malaysia Flight 370. His theory is based on two videos that he says were leaked to him by people in the U.S. military. And it's a wild theory. Here's his theory in a nutshell, is he says the U.S. military used that flight as an experiment to teleport an aircraft in midair to another location. Yeah, teleport, as in the transporter thing in Star Trek. Yeah, so I know it sounds completely freaking nuts. Now, I have no idea if this is true or not. I have to say, I've looked at the videos. I'm going to show them to you tomorrow night. They seem real to me. I'm pretty good when it comes to spotting video fakes because I've been working in the video industry and production all my life. So, although sometimes I've wondered, I've told you about the fact before, that alien autopsy film that came out in the 1990s. The My first thought when I saw it is that's completely fake. That was my first thought. And after thinking about it and watching it a few more times, I'm actually starting to wonder. I am. Another thing is, I was going to talk about this at the end too for a part 3, but I'll bring this up right now because it's pertinent. So those damn 2 mummies that Jamie Maussan, the guy, the UFO guy from Mexico, showed to the Mexican Congress, I mean, they seem so fake, just so fake. And this guy has such a sketchy reputation. He does, and I'm thinking this is all just bullshit. This guy's he's been propagating UFO bullshit for years, Well, here's the deal on that. So this is the best that I've been able to come up with, and also what other people are now reporting. Those 2 mummies were supposedly a cache of 6 that were found, right? They found 6 mummies, supposedly. The 2 that Marsan showed to the Mexican Congress have been debunked as fakes. But the other 4, apparently, uh, people looked at them and said, "No, there's something going on here." So there's a scientific team from Colorado, I think the University of Boulder, if I'm right. I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head. They went to Peru. These were found in Nazca, Peru, where the Nazca lines are, very famous there. They were and he included these 2 bullshit mummies in with his cache of 4. And the bullshit mummies are bullshit. They were made out of paper mache. It's crap. And this is the thing I don't understand about this guy too. He had real mummies and he showed the fake ones. And couldn't he tell the difference? I don't know if he can. I think he's a moron. It's like it's just bullshit, you know? But the scientists from Colorado went down there, and they've gotten more scientists involved. They found the 4 other mummies that they say they found are highly unusual. They said they appear not to be human. They're really holding off on the judgment. They really want to. They've done a preliminary DNA test. The DNA test has come back weird. The one thing they've publicized is that these mummies, first of all, they only have 3 fingers. And secondly, the fingerprints on them don't match fingerprint patterns on any human that's ever been seen. So there's that too. And that's, but still, they're still reserving judgment. They said, well, other things could cause that, especially in the mummification process. They're being very careful. But so far, it does appear that these mummies may not be human. So, and here's, like I said, the weird part is the 2 they showed the Congress, those were bullshit. What about the real ones? It's like, Jesus Christ, So anyway, that's where that's at. And why did I bring that up? I brought that up because of what the Malaysia 370 thing. So Ashton Forbes, he contends that the U.S. military literally transported this plane in midair to another location. And I think, well, you have to get this from him. I think he thinks they went to the Diego Garcia Airport is where they ended up. Now, well, a friend of mine brought this up today. I was telling him when this guy was coming on. He said, well, so they're saying that the people on the flight lived through this? And I said, yes, my impression is that is what Forbes is alleging. And so how come they haven't told any? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We'll find out from him. But he has 2 videos that seem they're weird. There's 3 little orbs going around the airplane, and then the airplane disappears, and the videos are in perfect sync. One is a FLIR video and one is a radar video. Or I think anyway, he'll have to explain to us. So yeah, he's coming on. Now, the thing is, okay, you can think this is bullshit, and I may think it's bullshit too. I'm not taking any position on this either way. I just don't know. And he's got a point here. No one else has a better theory of what happened. And that's true. This airplane disappeared out of the skies completely. Nobody has any real theory of what happened to it. So we're talking to him tomorrow. That's tomorrow night. And then Thursday, excuse me, Jonathan Tobin, the executive editor of the Jewish News Service, is going to be here, and we actually got this. We lucked out here. I didn't know this. On Wednesday, tomorrow, Benjamin Netanyahu is going to address Congress. So we'll talk to Jonathan Tobin about that, about anti-Semitism in America. That should be an interesting conversation too. So Monday we got what do we got next week? We got something. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. Anyway, you can call me tonight. Blog Talk Radio is up and running. 563-999-3435. You can call in on your webcam. Actual cam, you got to go to a web page, jimandknight.com/call, and click the big blue button at the top of the screen. You can call in with your camera, or you can send us a text in real time. Text number is 408-458-5088. That's at the bottom of the screen. It's crawling constantly. So yeah, you can do that. So our sponsor here at jimandknight.com or at Jim Peters. What's the name of the show? It's Jim Peters at Night. Our sponsor is Conk News. Now, normally I would show you the Conk News website. I hope Jeff Meyer doesn't mind. I'm doing this promo, even though his website's down at this very moment. I always bring it up to show it in real time. I bring about half an hour before we go on the air, and it is down. So I couldn't get a hold of him. I texted him, but his website is that's at conk.com, conk.com. Now I have to say they've been our sponsor for the entire year. It's gonna be our 1-year anniversary next Wednesday. So, and that's I think when Santa's gonna come on, because I thought that would be a good thing for that. So we've been on the air for a year. We've been done 142 shows, or basically, so we're scheduled for 4 nights a week. That would be almost exactly 3 nights a week. I missed a bunch of stuff because of surgery, all sorts of stuff. We won't get into it yet. So I missed some shows. I'm the Johnny Carson of the inner tube because I barely work. So people don't know this. So at the end being the last, I think, 8 or 10 years, Carson was only on television for 3 hours a week because it was a 1-hour show, and his guest host filled in. That was Leno at the end, filled in one night, and then they did a rerun the other night. So he was on 3 nights a week. When Jack Parr did the show before Carson did, before 1962, Jack Parr was on, I think, for 8 hours and 45 minutes a week. The show was an hour and 45 minutes long at that point, and Parr did it 5 days a week. So is my math right there? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they killed him. He quit after 5 years. He couldn't stand the pace. And you guys may say, well, that's an easy job, so you're being on television. No, it isn't, especially to concentrate for 1 hour and 45 minutes. It's unscripted, to concentrate nonstop. I mean, that's the reason Carson cut back. So, am I bitching? No, I'm not bitching. I just want to explain this to you. So yeah. So what did I was talking? I was talking about Kong News. That's what I was talking about. So here's the deal. It's a news aggregator. It's the best news aggregator on the internet. I'm not kidding. You got to check it out. Unfortunately, you can't check it out this very second. At least I don't know. It was a half an hour ago. Maybe it's back up and running now. And they get news from 75 different news sources and put in every 3 hours and take the newest stories and put them on the front page with pictures and with headlines. The pictures are from the stories. The headlines are the original headlines from the stories, and you click through. You don't have any interstitial ad page. You don't go to the front page. You go straight to the article. No ads. Well, there's ads on the front page of Call News, but there's no interstitial ads at all. So it's a fantastic news source. You don't have to register to access this. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to log in. It's very simple. You just go to the front page of conk.com and start reading to your heart's content. You'll love it. Trust me. That's at conk.com. Conk.com. Conk News. All right. So now I don't have to tell you a whole bunch of shit happened this weekend. But here's what you probably don't know. So today, Biden finally, after 6 days, was seen coming in and out of Air Force One. He left Dover, Delaware on Air Force One. And then, excuse me, I don't know why this is. He's using the mini Air Force One. which is just a regular 737. It's not a 747 or 777, whatever that is. Excuse me, it's not the big one. He's using the little one. I don't know why. But so, he got on the plane in Dover and he flew to Washington, D.C. and got on I can't remember what is it, where in Andrews? Is it in Andrews where they depart? And go so that he was seen. He talked to the reporters for very briefly, a couple of sentences. That's it. The guy, he's walking and he's talking. So on Thursday night, on Wednesday, he did a campaign stop on Wednesday and Thursday in Las Vegas. Now, supposedly, the press corps said on Wednesday he was relatively energetic. He seemed to be in a good mood. He was relatively cogent. He was walking around, and I've said this, and the thing is that if you haven't dealt with an elderly person in your family, this is the way this works. They have, at least at the start of cognitive decline, they have good days and bad days. It's pretty obvious that on when he did the debate, I was at the 27th of June, that he was having a bad day. And the thing is, and I'm not trying to make any excuses up for Biden here. Even his good days aren't that good, but still, there's a difference. So on Wednesday, the press corps is saying he had a pretty good day. He was relatively cogent. He was walking around. He was in a good mood. Okay, fine. Thursday comes, it's completely different. They said he's like the Walking Dead. He's awful. Now, and so he was supposed to do a campaign event in Las Vegas. And before they sent him, as he was on his way to that event, supposedly, our friends over at Red State are reporting this. Jennifer Van Naar, she's the editor there, and she said she had has one good reporter. I can't remember his name, Slatker, Rachel Slatker, or something like that, who has contacts there, and this is mostly reported by people in the Las Vegas Police Department. They said they got a call. Instead of going to this event, this campaign event, they were supposed to divert the motorcade to the nearest hospital. And there were reports over the encrypted channels. People were saying that either Biden is dying or he's already dead, one or the other. So on the way to the hospital, apparently the Secret Service or somebody in command had a change of heart and they said, no, we're going to go directly to Air Force One. We're going to fly out of here. So they changed course. They went right to the airport, and they flew from the airport back to Dover, Delaware. That's supposedly what happened. Now, no one. I was reading this on Twitter at 3:00 in the morning because I'm a dork and a nerd. And I'm waiting for somebody in the mainstream press or in the established press because Red State is not mainstream, but I would say it's established. They're the sister site to Hot Air. There's or Town Hall. Town Hall has basically 5, I think, other sister sites that are owned by Salem Media. Town Hall is the main one, and we here at Jim Peters at Night we associate a lot with Hot Air and Red State. So this was Red State, and I'm waiting for them to publish something on their front page, and they didn't. And and I know why, because they want to make sure they get it right. They don't want to publish bullshit information because everyone else does. MSNBC, what do you get? Bullshit information. Jeff Meyer, who runs Kong News. I mean, he says he watches morning show for the entertainment value because it's a hilarious train wreck, and it is. I can't watch it anymore. I just can't. So, matter of fact, hold on a second. Is that him calling right now? Hello? Hello?
Jim, how are you?
Hey, Jeff, is this you?
It is.
I was just talking about you. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know what kind of. Are you in Paris?
I heard. Yeah, I'm still stuck here. I don't get out till it's 5 a.m. here. I don't leave till 3 today.
Are you stuck because of Delta?
Yeah, it was Kenya Airways. The Kenyan airport they had a bunch of flights canceled a couple days ago, all from the Microsoft issue.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you got my text, but Kong News is down right now.
Yep, I've got them working on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. What are your thoughts about the last few days? Oh, hey, let me finish up my thought here. So anyway, what I was saying is that Red State finally this afternoon they published a story about the fact that it appears in retrospect now that Biden did not have COVID. He had a mini stroke, is what it appears.
Yeah, I've been in a news blackout other than what I can find on Conk. So I left on Thursday, the 11th of July. Trump gets shot. Biden announces he's leaving was that on a Sunday afternoon?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were out on a safari deal in the middle of the Samburu Reserve, and they happened to have the TV on to some African news channel, and it came on the scroll. Otherwise, I never heard. You never hear anything in the part of Nairobi we were in, up in the tea country. The hotel has like 3 TV channels, and Al Jazeera is one of them. So it just isn't that big of a deal. And I've been laying around in a hotel room in Paris for 24 hours, and it's just amazing how they go from questioning Joe ability to lead to now we have the prosecutor versus the criminal.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it is, right? And forgive me, I don't think that's going to work.
No.
Yeah.
No. Well, and the big thing that reaffirmed that the governments don't care whether you're in Nairobi, Kenya, which we had to drive through some protest areas because the citizens are just pissed off.
Are they pissed off about different stuff that we're pissed off about? Do you know?
Well, the first thing was they were trying to put a payroll tax for housing on, which they ended up canceling. But then one of the senators let the cat out of the bag that they were going to lease the airport to an Indian company for like 30 years. Again, just shortcutting their economy. And there's 2 lounges in the Nairobi airport for government officials. I've never been in an airport, and I've probably been in, I don't know, 6, 7 out of the United States where it says government official lounge.
Holy shit.
So, that's the priority.
Yeah.
And I think people are just tired of it. You look at this dipshit that was running the Secret Service and her inability to just quit the minute she failed would have been less painful for her in the future. But she thought she could gut it out. These people think they're bulletproof. Sorry for the pun.
But Jeffrey, let me run something by you. This occurred to me today. I don't know. Yeah, they think they're bulletproof, but I also wonder if it's because, does this woman think she'll never get another job? Because you wouldn't want to quit a job if you know you couldn't get another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they're so arrogant.
Most people, especially, it's a pretty high position. You'd think that, okay, I'm gonna get more employment. It's like somebody will pick me up. I don't know, but sometimes I think these people are so incompetent and they kind of know it, that they just wonder, well, shit, no one, I'm never going to have another job. I got to hold on for dear life. I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
So remember, she was a high official in what, PepsiCo?
Yeah, Pepsi. Yeah, right.
Right, or Pepsi. So, I mean, I don't think money's an issue to her, and if it is, too bad. But that she'll get a government pension.
Yeah, that's right. She would. She's not going to be denied her pension.
So, right. We never take those away from the frauds, but yeah, I think people are just it's a fast moving ball, and man, it's kind of scary being out of the country.
Yeah, and I have to say, you sound quite subdued. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just travel weary.
Yeah. Good. Well, I mean, I have a friend. I have a friend of mine who was supposed to go out of town for business for a week here in Minneapolis, and he went to the airport and he gave up. So, hey, Jeffrey.
Yeah, there's people in our group that won't be able to leave till tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Which, we were all supposed to be back Tuesday morning.
Jeffrey, we got another caller here. I'm going to put this person on, okay? I'm not going to hang up on you. I'm just adding this, all right? Let's try this. Hello? Who's this? Are you there?
My name's Bianchi.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. But I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
No, Bianchi is my name.
Oh.
No, she wanted to retire within the next few months in order to be qualified for 30 years worth of pension. But she should be fired. She can resign and be eligible, but if she's fired, then she wouldn't be eligible.
Yeah, but she did. She did quit, so she is eligible, right?
Well, they should have fired her.
Well, of course, yeah. No shit, they should have fired her. Of course, they should have. Yeah, right.
And see, the local police should not be employed as a level 1 protection of the police.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. That's bullshit. That's right.
They should be in charge of traffic control, preventing automobiles to come down the down ramp to get on the highway as the motorcade passes through. That's the stuff they should be doing.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to level 1 and level 2 protection of the president, you don't use local police because you don't know who the hell you're working with.
No shit.
You can go to Walmart and buy a vest that's got FBI on the back of it.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with you. Jeffrey, you want to chime in? Jeffrey, meet Chianti.
Hey, Chianti. Has the police department confirmed everything that she accused them of?
As far as I know, yes. Yeah, they have confirmed all this.
So they said they were supposed to cover that rooftop.
Well, okay, this is the way I understand the last I've heard it is no, I don't know if they were supposed to cover the rooftop, but somebody was. So the people ended up inside the building because it was too hot on the roof. And I don't know if those were local or not. Keanu, do you know? Were those local people?
They were probably local.
Yeah.
What kind of madness is this? I'm going to tell y'all, who should be protecting the president? You should have Navy SEALs. Somebody who's trained to operate under all sorts of conditions, and they train to kill. You have a target in your sights for 3 minutes waiting on the order to take them out. That's the same crap they done in Afghanistan.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. That's correct.
Yep. Under the same administration.
Yeah.
This is a bunch of bull crap.
No, it is. It is bullshit. Total bullshit. I totally agree. Completely.
Each one of those buildings should have had at least 2 drones on it. Wherever the president is speaking, the FAA designates that area with a circumference called the temporary flight restriction.
Yeah.
Well, it applies to drones too. They could have got a waiver.
Yeah.
See, here's another point on this talking about this: should I shoot? Should I not shoot? If I fly into a TFR, you know what's going to happen? They're going to scramble a jet. He's going to come up alongside of me and give me some hand signals.
Yeah.
If I don't respond, he's going to shoot my ass out the sky. Simple as that.
Right.
Shoot me out the sky. So that person should have been shot when he was approaching the damn ladder to get up on the roof. They talking about the roof was too steep. The roof wasn't too steep. It was a 2 and 12.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I can't buy too, I totally can't buy this, is about the fact they said they don't have enough resources to actually do this on their own. Well, where the fuck is our money going? I mean, Jeffrey and I talk about this all the time, Keontae. He's a regular on here. Half of the money we pay in taxes is completely, utterly wasted. I mean, get your shit together, you know?
I'll tell you where the money's going. It's going to places like Ukraine. It's going to places like Israel. It's going to all these other goddamn countries.
Right.
And we don't have, the funny thing about this, Americans are actually contributing to their own demise.
No, yes.
They are.
That's right. You're absolutely correct. I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't. Hey, we got a lot of people calling tonight. Oh, well, okay. I was just going to take another call and that person hung up. So, well, hey, Keontae, thanks for calling.
About Harry.
Say again?
I'm not done. I got one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got one more. Harris is not qualified to be a president.
Well, okay. I'm not arguing with you about that either.
She's not an Article II citizen. Now, she may be a 14th Amendment citizen, being born in the United States, but she's not a natural born, which would have required her parents to be citizens. They was in the U.S. under student visas.
Yeah.
Some say one of them visa has expired.
I know the whole natural citizen thing has been it's very convoluted.
Spells it out.
Yeah.
You have to be at least 35, been in the country for 14 years, or the state for 14, and you have to be natural born.
Yeah.
And they can't say that the definition is convoluted because they had a case back in 1814. It was Venus versus the United States, Venus merchants. And the Supreme Court justices spelled out what would be the definition for natural born. Now, here's the thing why that's so important. Because in 1814, they was alive during the founding of the nation.
That's true. I never thought of that.
They would have been more in a position to relate to the meaning of the word, being that they grew up during the period.
Yeah.
They didn't grow up in 1965.
That's a very good observation. That's a very good observation. Good for you. I wouldn't have never thought of that. But you're right. I mean, that was basically only, 20 years after Washington was president. So, yeah. Well, the other thing is she's not black either. She's half Jamaican and half Indian.
She's not black.
She's not black.
She's not black. That's another thing. You put her next to Biden, she's lighter skin tone than Biden.
Well, even she's literally by genetics, she's not black. I mean, it's like, there's a lot of light-skinned black people, but she's not black. It's like,
That's the point we're trying to use skin color as a defining element. It don't work.
Yeah.
It just don't work because then you got too many criteria that can come into the way. Who's black? So is Derek Jeter black? Well, if that's the case, what about Wesley Snipes and Isaac Hayes?
Actually, I don't know about those guys. Are they black?
Derek Jeter was the shortstop for the New York Yankees.
Well, yeah, I know that. But is he black? I don't even know.
Isaac Hayes and Wesley Snipes, they're actors.
Yeah.
At least Wesley Snipes is.
Yeah, well, Isaac Hayes, one of the best single recordings, on the planet. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. But I never thought about the thing what you're talking about the ruling from 1814. And that's
So if you let Harris become president, what you're doing is whittling away at the Constitution.
yeah,
A little bit, and a little bit, a little bit at the time.
yeah. Well, that's been going on for some time, so it's unfortunate. I mean,
anyway, go ahead to your other caller.
yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for calling, County. Call again. Okay.
Sure.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Jeff, you still there?
I'm here.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Or I shouldn't apologize,
No.
but it's nice to have callers. We had I had a guy call from Singapore about
sure.
10. Say again?
It is good to have callers.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, he's got an interesting point. I never thought about that. The definition of a natural born citizen, you know.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that, I want to go back to the Trump shooting. They've got everyone now calling your local cops a bunch of bums. And we don't even know the truth. There hasn't been a thorough vetting of what actually happened, who is responsible for what. And we're all arguing about local cops when it's like, no, there should be some journalist should be taking in a timeline accounting of exactly what happened to explain it to us.
The other thing too, Jeffrey, is that I don't want to dump on the local cops. They just should. I think Chianti's right. They just shouldn't be doing that shit. I mean, they shouldn't.
Well, but we don't know if we don't really know if they were assigned to it. That's what came out. That was the easiest thing to say was, let's blame the local cops when we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the director of the Secret Service sat in Congress and never answered a question.
Oh God, I mean, it's never, not a single goddamn one. It's unbelievable.
So we don't have any idea what the truth is, and that's what they want.
Yeah. What's hold on, I gotta read you a quote here. Oh, yeah, this is from David Strom, our friend. He's been writing just shit stuff on Hot Air for like 2 weeks. He's writing about this woman, and this was a quote I got from an article of his. He said, "It is enough to spark 1,000 conspiracy theories, and the Biden administration seems fine with allowing that to happen." He's talking about this woman's testimony. He said, "It's like they're flipping the bird at the American people and daring us to complain." And he's right. It's like, I mean, she did quit, but still, the fact is, like you said, she didn't answer a single question. It's like, what the hell are you doing? I don't know.
Right.
And he's also
a tax audit.
Say again.
You tried that in a tax audit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This is
go to jail.
I'm sorry, I talked over you. What was that?
If you're in a tax audit and you don't answer the questions, you're going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's strange times, my friend. Very strange.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get home tomorrow. That's the plan, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask? Is your wife with you?
No.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thankfully not.
Okay.
She would have not enjoyed all the flight confusion that would have caused a lot of undue stress.
Oh yeah, yeah. So one of the local television stations is reporting today that now we should explain to people that the Minneapolis airport is one of Delta's major, if not their major hub. So everything's so screwed up here that they basically you can't even get a rental car. They're all gone. People have rented them all. So yeah, it's crazy. I hope the what is the flight time from where you're at right now? What's it considered?
8.5 hours.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be more. That's interesting. Huh.
Well, yeah, Paris to Minneapolis, 8.5. Paris to Nairobi is 9.
Oh. So supposedly,
Yeah, it's a heck of a.
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say supposedly this flight this little mini stroke that supposedly Red State is reporting that Biden had, they flew back to Delaware so quickly, so they were pushing the maximum speed of Air Force One. Apparently, the plane was shaking. They said they were going so fast. They made the flight in about 3.5 hours, which is absurd. Because I think usually it's about an hour longer. So
And has anyone seen Biden since?
yeah, he was seen today. They saw him get off the airplane and get on another airplane to go to Washington, D.C. That was it. So he was walking. He answered like one reporter's questions. How are you feeling? He said, fine, thank you. That was it. I suppose it could be a hologram or something. I don't know.
Her body, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I know. That's right.
It's a big lie, and it's getting busted apart, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. They're not going to. I don't think the Democratic public uh, party, and I include the press in this, they're not going to recover from this. I don't think they can. It's like we've been lied to so much, and not only that, it's like everyone said the same thing about this shooting. Okay, so first I get on the horn here, and I'm talking about the fact that if you're going to fake this or if you're going to do it as a setup, here's how you do it. I came to the conclusion it probably isn't. I said, I went through all the evidence. I said it probably isn't. So on last Thursday night, for the convention, we had a panel discussion, and Larry Newman's on. He's a police investigator, and he said, "Look, guys," he said, "this is almost certainly a setup." And he went through all the points about why he thought. And the more shit goes down, and like you were saying, she won't answer any questions. No one will answer any questions, and it's just breeding ground for conspiracy theories. I mean, why shouldn't I think that it was a setup? They won't answer any questions.
And they do want us to think it's a conspiracy because it distracts from us getting to the truth.
I'm sorry, because what?
It distracts us from getting to the truth.
Yeah, right. They don't want to get the truth out. And then people are pissed off and frustrated, and people's imaginations are running rampant. And why shouldn't they? Shit. If you're not going to tell us what's going on, we're going to fill in the blanks with our own crap. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. I'll check in with you when I get stateside, and we'll see about what next week presents for getting on.
Okay, I just want to let you. Wednesday is our 1-year anniversary, so if you can come on Wednesday, that'd be great.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. Have a nice flight, okay?
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's Jeff Meyer. He's the CEO and publisher of Conk News. We had a call here. Hi, who's this?
Yes, this is Brother Mike. How are you?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What did you say?
I say, yeah, this is Brother Mike. How are you, sir?
Hey, good, thanks. What's on your mind?
We have no democracy in United States.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, is this Mike from Singapore?
Yes.
Yeah, nice to hear from you again. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we don't have neither democracy or republic. In Plato's Republic, the character of Socrates is highly critical of democracy and instead proposes as an ideal political state and hierarchical system of 3 classes: philosophers, king, or guardians who make decisions, soldiers or auxiliaries who protect the society, and producer who creates goods and do other work. Despite the title Republic, from an ancient Greek translated through Latin into English. Criticism of democracy. In the Republic, Plato's Socrates raises a number of criticisms of democracy. He claims that democracy is a danger due to excessive freedom. He also argues that in a system in which everyone has the right to rule, all sorts of selfish people who care nothing for the people but are only motivated by their own personal desires are able to attain power. He concludes that democracy risks bringing dictators, tyrants, and demagogues to power. He also claims that democracies have leaders without proper skills or morals, and that is quite unlikely that the best equipped to rule will come to the power. So, as we can see, today in the United States, I mean, we don't really have anything to say, or if you have to say anything, they shut down your Facebook, Twitter, and whatever platform that you're using. And today, only Kardashian and George Clooney and other ones, famous people, actors and actresses, they make us to vote for what they want us to vote for. Kardashian is a model. Kardashian is an actress and making money, and they have so much big life. But they come in the news or whatever show, oh, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Oh, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. Or I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton, for example. Then what happens? Oh, we love Kardashian so much. Okay, you want to vote for that? We follow you too. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there is no more, we are in control of elections anymore. We are not in control of anything in our beloved country. Am I right or wrong? Go ahead.
Well, no, let me ask you a question. Are we just screwed? You know?
Exactly. I mean, you are not the only country that is screwed. All the countries are screwed too.
Yeah.
From Iran, it was kingship, as he was saying, that he was a good model. He cared for the country. He was not living really like real king, but he had a house, palace, and and some protections as soldiers were protecting him, but he was caring for the people. But then what happened? Too much freedom. People in Iran had during the Shah of Iran, it turned to dictatorship. Then suddenly people say, I don't want any more this kind of systems. I want Ayatollah system. And Ayatollah said, good, I come. I will be the real dictator. You don't deserve a good person to care for your country. I come and steal every resources that you have from oil or other minerals and everything else. Don't worry. And then Ayatollahs arrived by whom? By the same people that they screw us here in the United States.
Well, hold on, Mike. Now, I do remember from our last call that you're Iranian, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This is actually on my show notes for tonight. I actually put this down about the fact that I can't remember if we talked about this the last time you called or not. So forgive me if I've forgotten that our Secretary of State.
You're right. I told you. I give you the open source intelligence that Iran by October 1st will have 100 atom bombs,
Yeah,
and
that's
here in your place, you wrote that, and I was very surprised. I mean, but I give you whatever I tell you. I care for you, for your listeners, and I give you the truth.
yeah,
And I already checked everything, and before you write something, I tell you the open source information for you, and that's why Netanyahu is here in the United States to finalize all the plans for attacking the Ayatollah's forces and the rest. Um, I give you assurance that Iranians will rise up and will get their country back from this bloody Ayatollah.
So, what is, as far as you can tell, is it? I'm going to just propose a game plan. So, are you saying that Israel is going to bomb Iran as a preemptive strike, and in the process of doing that, they will disrupt the government there, and that the people in Iran will take over? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly the plan, and we don't want really to nuke everything we have in Iran. Then 90% of Iranians will die. We
Right,
don't want that kind of
right,
bloodshed.
right.
We want just give us enough room so the Iranian inside the Iran can go topple this bloody regime and do easiest job. We need like 3-4 times. First the oil refineries, in southern part of Iran must be taken, and the United States must help Israel. There's no question about it. But even if they don't, at least they give all the support they need, refueling. You see, Israel has already went to Yemen, and they bombed hell out of Yemenis, and it was 1,400 miles. But is Israel, Tel Aviv, Tehran is 900 miles.
Yeah,
So you see, that's much more easier to do than to go ahead and 1,400. But of course, they refueled. We have information accurately that they refueled on the skies of Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia said, "Enemy of my enemies are my friends." So,
yeah, yes, but if the Iranian government does have 100 bombs, I totally agree. I mean, I think you're absolutely right, because uh, Anthony Blinken said about 2-3 weeks ago that they were 2 or 3 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon, and in my mind, that means they already had one. So you're right. They could probably come up with about 100 by October. I mean, they would use them, wouldn't they? I mean, I think that it's an easy way out, and they hate Israel, and wouldn't they just fucking bomb it?
of course they do, and also remember, they hate. Not Iranian people hate Israel. Iran and Israel, they were friends for over 2,500 years together. We have a relationship, and we have a relationship with the United States as well too. Before, during even Carter's
Yeah,
time, that. But Jimmy Carter sold Iran to the same people and brought them and said, "We will give you go ahead." But the reason was very thing to create the World War III, because you see, right now Ayatollah is still the useful tool for globalists and new liberalism in the United States, because they want, to create the World War III, which already we are 80% in it, at least, if not more. And so they, and it will come. That's why by October, surprise coming, and they will remove them. They have to, because they want more action, and possibility of the 1 billion computers went down just 4 days ago, as you know, and as a result of that, it's going to be still. I think your friend was still on the airport. Am I right or not?
Say again, what was that last part, my friend?
Your friend that called earlier, the guy, I think he was in the airport still, or he was trying to get back home, right?
Yeah, no, he's
flight.
he's trying to get back home, right? Correct, that's right.
Right. So he was affected too. So lots everywhere in the world affected flights. Many hospitals they could not do the surgeries affected, or still, if people sometimes go to emergencies around the globe or in the United States, I mean, doctors say, okay, give the patient, for example, Dilaudid, 2 milligram or 3 milligram of Dilaudid, for example, for pain. And still the computers are under attack. And they go and change the order of the doctors, and they give them more powerful narcotics to the patient. So all these things are still is happening, and I think we are having October. We have July surprises already. We will have August surprises coming, September surprises coming, October surprise, and November surprises. I mean, not only in the United States, around the globe.
So I got one more question for you, and that is, do you think these things are happening because the American government is perceived as so weak right now?
American government is right now is not weak. They pretend to be weak. They play with our minds and everything. They play with our like illusion.
Yeah.
A magician comes and does an art of magic, and we think everything he did, or an aeroplane is vanished. How can an aeroplane vanish in front of your eyes? It's an illusion.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take.
Yep.
Michael, so I don't know if you noticed this, Michael. I started on the very top of the show where I announced the time zones in America. I added Singapore because of you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
my friend. So, basically, we have to be, the things also in touch what happened in Butler, in Pennsylvania. It was, if you notice the photograph shows the bullet came from the right side, not from the left side. The guy was in the roof, left side.
Yeah.
And the bullet came from the right side.
Well, this is the problem right now. There's such a lack of official information that now people are, people are saying that, and these are not stupid people either, that there were actually two gunmen, and how would I know that isn't true? It's, they won't, the information the government's given us is so sketchy that anything could be possible at this point.
Yeah, because you see, he was shot into his chest. We have the photograph of it, and it was eight shots. And then one thing that is a protocol, and they never told him that if some incident is happening like that, please let us protect you. We have to cover you. It's a protocol, like a Ronald Reagan. When it was Ronald Reagan, right away, there was so much, at least 15, 20 secret police. Half of them, they covered the Ronald Reagan, and then half went to disarm the guy. Okay?
Yeah.
And They put him into the hospital, and he re-elected. Very good. But the question is, they told the president that protocols must be followed. We will protect you at all times. Ronald Reagan did not come and put his fist up and show his face couple of minutes and then move down to his car. You see, they did never consulted or told him about the protocol, and that was wrong because for exactly 2 minutes range, he put his fist up, and nobody were protecting, and all those secret police, they were very short. Usually, in the protocol, you use the very, very what kind more taller, like 6 feet, 6 foot plus, so they can protect the president, ex-president or current president, for example. But it was never done. It shows that the lady, who took the gun out at one point, she even couldn't put it in the right place. She just put it in her pants. So it was really a big question mark, my friend.
Yeah.
We have to question everything.
Yeah, we do. You're absolutely right. Mike, I'm going to let you go, okay? I got to finish up here.
Right. We appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.
All right. No, thank you for calling. Always. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself, okay?
You're most welcome.
Hello?
Good evening, Jim. How are you? Yeah, I was just going through Blog Talk, seeing the show that you got on this evening.
Yeah,
you're right. Biden is no longer hiding. Biden belongs in a rest home. You know what I'm saying? The dude is incompetent,
Yeah.
And I just think, man, that the stress of the job is finally caught up with him. And then when you look up there, the chief executive of the country, man, standing there, man, looking glassy-eyed, man, not knowing where he is, falling up the steps and what have you.
Yeah.
But another problem that we have, is that the current Vice President Kamala Harris, she has a very, very tainted past. It's because I used to live in California when she was the Attorney General there, and then also too when she was the senator, that was appointed by Gavin Newsom to fill out the remaining term, I believe, of Barbara Boxer, who had passed away. That woman, man, is bad news.
Yeah.
Just look up her dossier. You know what I'm saying? Look up her history, man. Cases of infidelity, man. Not giving people equal justice and equal protection under the law, which I believe what the Attorney General is supposed to do. Now, she is educated. She is a doctor of jurisprudence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what have you, a lawyer and whatnot. But she had left a whole lot of black men in prison who they were supposed to have been released because they had passed an initiative in California during the time when she was Attorney General where they were supposed to be released due to MJ convictions. She didn't do it. Also, too, her past is tainted. Look at her affair that she had with Willie Brown. When she was 30 and he was 60, and that there was in the newspapers. That was a great big scandal.
Oh, she basically slept her way to. She slept her way to the top. I mean, it's like there's no way getting around it.
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely. I call it flat backing her way to the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like that. Yours is better.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, too, is that the taxpayers pay their money, to these politicians. Then they're held accountable by the laws that they pass and whatever backroom dealings, that they have. Now, one thing I will say about Trump, I don't know if you're a Trump supporter or not.
I am. I'm a Trump supporter.
But at least Trump is telling the people how he honestly feels, and I do not hold that against him.
Well, yeah. See, this is
Okay.
the thing with Trump, and this is one of the things I think people like about him. That people do like him. He's a highly flawed person, but he completely admits it. You know, I mean, he's not trying to be
Oh,
some sort of saint or and unfortunately, too many people in politics are. You know, they're trying to come off as perfect. Well, you're not. You know.
right. Exactly. And then on top of it too, I'm going to get some criticism of this, but like I said, with me being, in my mid 60s, I'm on my way out just off the law of biophysics.
Yeah.
That Congressional Black Caucus, sir, is the biggest joke going. Okay. And then, by
Okay.
the way, I want to pay our respects to Sheila Jackson Lee, who passed away recently. Condolences to her family.
Right.
But the thing is about Trump is that he is telling you how he honestly feels. Rather if you like him, rather if you hate him, you have to respect the man, telling you how he honestly feels. Now, me personally, I'm a little kind of confused here, and I did not know that a convicted felon could run for the presidency. And what did he take? 36 falls on felony convictions, and I'm quite sure that they're going to be upheld, and I'm sure that the majority of them are going to be overturned, but what can he say? Trump is Trump, you know what I mean? And then, too, is that the economy has gone, out of whack, with these Democrats. It is because they always have told the black community ever since JFK, vote Democrat, vote Democrat, vote Democrat. But what did LBJ say? Is that if you convince the poorest white man that he is better than the average black man, you could pick his pocket for the next 50 years. And the Democrats have been doing just that. Now, I appreciate the historical significance that Barack Obama made of being the first black president elected. But from the black perspective, he did not do nothing for black people, particularly when you had these questionable police shootings, starting with Mario Woods in San Francisco when Kamala was the district attorney there. Let's see, Mike Brown, Kyrie Nichols recently down there in Memphis, where he was shot and killed by black officers, just to find out is that Mr. Nichols was seeing the ex-wife of one of these officers. So that's conspiracy right there, and they should be going to jail for the rest of their lives. Also, to the police chief of the Memphis Police Department, when she was a deputy chief or an assistant chief in Atlanta, she has a questionable past too. With some infidelities with her husband that I'm not going to say. You could pull it up. It is public record. But Kamala Harris, bad, all the way bad. And then also, too, I don't know how you feel on the reparations issues, and I'm of the opinion that it is an issue that needs to be discussed if you're going to truly have some type of healing in this country, on that. So, I think they had put together a commission, I think in California, to do a feasibility study on it. Okay. And then also, too, we got to upgrade the quality of life in the black communities because you got a lot of black on black crime. But this here originates in what I call, this sick, underfunded public school system. You see what I mean?
Right. Totally.
This is where they learn all this gang activity from. And then these guys are going and find that I hate to see of going to prison, at the age of 18, 19 years old. Well, I got hit with 50 years. Man, you just messed off your whole life, you see. So therefore, a lot of black children need the black fathers in the home. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of these people in the Congressional Black Caucus that they are a downright joke. And, they can call me, man, and they could follow me on Facebook and Tweety Bird, you know what I'm saying, and crumb bum on me all they want to, you see, because being in my twilight years, looking over the course of your life, you know what I mean? You're just saying is that the detriment that you have of these black politicians to the black community is incredible. I mean, look at Eric Adams of New York City.
Yeah.
Look at Brandon Johnson of Chicago. Look at Karen Bass, man, of Los Angeles. Look at London Breeze of San Francisco, although I call her London Bridge. And then, too, I have a podcast where people, call in and hurl all kind of insults and stuff like that and what have you and whatnot. But I'm just saying, man, is that these are some extremely uncertain political times.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. But I want to talk about the reparations thing, because here's my thing on this.
Sure.
I have conflicting emotions on this. On the one hand, I think as far as actual payments to people in terms of just handing out money, I think it's too late, because there's literally nobody alive on the planet right now that was a slave, at least, in the United States. But on the other hand, you have a very good point about the fact that one of the primary reasons, at least what I perceive as one of the primary problems with the black community, is you have generation upon generation of poverty. So you have, multiple generations of people that have no money. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, and forgive me, I didn't catch your name again. I'm sorry.
Okay, my name is Shabaka Sankouri.
Okay, Shabaka. So the deal is, and I know this because I have experienced poverty, and I'm a white bread American, and I have a whole bunch of white friends who have never been poor a day in their freaking lives, so they don't understand.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you don't have, there's nothing will fuck your life up more in America than not having money. That's all there's to it. And so if you have 150 years, 6 generations of people in your family who have never had money, your family is really, really fucked. And the thing is that we got to figure out I don't know if the solution is to actually just hand cash out outright. But on the other hand, I'm not brilliant enough to come up with what the solution is. That problem has to be fixed. If we're, and
oh yes, sir.
Yeah. So and God bless people who are trying to really, raise themselves up by their bootstraps and everything. But there's even a difference between being poor and being in poverty. It's really, and I've known families like this, for generations and generations. They've been in poverty, and it's like, it's so hard to get out of it. But I got to admit, I don't know what the solution is. I just don't.
Okay, all right, now let me run this here past you, my man. Okay, all righty. You familiar with the concept of macroeconomics, are you not?
Of course, I'm actually quite skilled in it. Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, very good, very good. Okay, now let's look at something here. Now, there is Dr. Joyce DeGruy. Okay, I'm sure you heard of her.
No, actually, I haven't heard of her. So what is she talking about?
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
no.
Yeah, very, very brilliant educator, by the way. I think she's off of the East Coast, and she did a 5-year feasibility study on it, and she should be winding down on it now. Let's look at something right here. Okay, the main products that were produced from slavery was the harvesting of sugarcane, cotton, okay, and then reading Lerone Bennett Jr., who was an educator and also used to work with Ebony Magazine, who was a great author of many books, by the way. So you would have to look at, okay, you got the slave right here that produced the sugar cane. Okay, now the reason why I'm using the sugar cane is because, as you know, sugar cane is the main thing that you need to ferment alcohol or booze, as they call it, like your Jack Daniels, your I.W. Harper, Beefeater, and what have you.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of revenue was generated off of that again and again and again. Then, of course, about the prohibition crap and things of that. Then they brought it back and things of that nature right there. Also, too, off of textiles which is cotton, okay, which is clothes, okay, which is other materials that is used in production and distribution of an economy. And then keep in mind is that the slave labor contributed greatly to the gross national product of the United States. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not a simple solution. It's not a simple solution, okay, but it really has to be studied, okay? And then on top of that, you got to look at that all of these questionable police shootings that you've been having, man, ever since Obama was the president. Mike Brown, Mario Woods, Ezell Ford, and then, of course, the tragedy that happened with Tamir Rice, with the George Zimmerman, you know what I mean? And then, Philando Castile, man, of course, the Rodney King case in Los Angeles.
Hold it.
Okay, then a fiasco of...
I gotta go back to the Fernando Castile case is the absolute worst because, you know, this, I don't understand. He should have been the poster child for this movement. This guy was a model citizen. He got pulled over, literally, and this was not bullshit. He got pulled over because his taillight was out, and the next thing you know, the cop shoots him. I mean, it's like, it was the craziest fucking thing ever, and I don't understand why he didn't get more play. You know, that's, I don't know. I don't, but at any rate.
Yes, sir. Okay, and then going back, that Yanez is the one who murdered him. Okay, is because what had happened is Yanez had pulled it over for the busted tail light. Okay, you got probable cause there on a traffic violation. Okay,
yeah.
So therefore, the officers, as you know, when you get pulled over, he wants IDs on everybody in the cars, and your state driver's licenses are property of the state. They're not your personal property, and they are to be surrendered to a peace officer on demand. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Castile did state to Yanez, he says, sir, I do have a firearm.
Yeah.
I am licensed
That's right.
to carry.
He told the guy.
Yeah, now with Yanez, yes, sir. Now, what Yanez should have did, okay, he should have asked, okay, so please step out the car, put your hands on top of your head. I'm going to soft cuff you, okay? In other words, I'm going to put the handcuffs on you, man, but I'm not going to squeeze them to cut off your circulation. Okay,
right.
There's your weapon. Okay, I got your weapon right here. I'm pulling the slide back. I'm pulling the clip out, and I'm discharging around up in the front. Okay, then go issue the citation. Then after Yanez issues the citation, okay, sir, here's your weapon, here's your clip, and here's the one-up that you had in the chamber, and drive off. That's the only way that happened. That should have happened. Now,
and we would have never heard about it, and we should not have heard about it.
Yes, sir. Now here's the cold part about it. His wife was recording this here on social media.
I know.
And saw it as it had went down.
I know.
And that woman had the strength of just seeing her husband murdered, plus the baby that was in the back seat.
Yeah.
Yanez is a piece of shit because, see, that there had also endangered that child. So she goes through the court system, they clear Yanez, and then what Miss Diamond Reynolds did is that when she came out the courthouse, she broke down and she says, where are you black men at? They are killing us. Okay. She's a woman. I understand that. Now, as you know, that there was another organization in California in 1966 where you had a lot of police killings that were highly questionable in Oakland, California. This organization had exercised its Second Amendment rights, and when California did allow you to carry firearms, it was called the Black Panther Party. Everybody thought that they were an anti-white organization. They were not. They were anti-oppression. Okay, so therefore, there was a case, you know, with Dr. Huey P. Newton, the co-founder and the Minister of Defense, that he was injured in a shootout where an officer by the name of John Fry died, okay? So they had wanted to give Dr. Newton a gas chamber. So what had happened was they finally dismissed the case against him because they tried him 3 times on it, okay? But when you have these, okay, when you're black in America, man, and when you have this constantly on your head, to quote the words of James Baldwin in the 1960s, to be black in America is to be in a constant state of rage. And these guys are not being held accountable. You see what I'm saying? They're not being held accountable. And then when I look at a guy like Kyle Rittenhouse, who left the state of Illinois, crossed the state line, you know what I'm saying, with a firearm, okay, and he says, I'm going to protect property. Question. Why would you want to go cross a state line, man, to protect property when you got the authorities over there in said state that's out there dealing with it? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was just looking for an excuse to go kill unarmed black people. Now, the George Floyd case. Okay, Derek Chauvin. I hope he rots in jail. Okay, the reason being, the man, George Floyd, was handcuffed. Okay, George Floyd had been to jail before. Okay, and Derek Chauvin is there putting his knee on his neck, and the man is saying, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Chauvin goes right ahead, goes along, you know, and is committing an act of murder right here before the whole wide world on social media. You see, is because me and a friend of mine, we had looked at the tape of the footage of where Mr. Floyd was murdered, and he had died or expired right at about the 9:02 or 9:05 mark. You could see that when the paramedics came, they did not try no tactics to revive him. You could see when they picked up his body that he was limp, and they still had him handcuffed, okay? And so then Chauvin, you know, me personally, I think he should have got hit with murder in the first degree, but it all depends on what the criminal justice statutes are and administrative justice is in the state of Minnesota, because as you know, each state is different when it comes to administer its justice. Then the part that I find very interesting is when the use of force experts of the Los Angeles Police Department said that this was improper, that something was wrong with it. And of course, you know, the LAPD, you know, they have a notorious history, go back to 1992, Rodney King and what have you. And then, of course, the controversies that you had, you know, with the O.J. Simpson case. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you are spending the taxpayers' money, is because the taxpayer, you paying, you know, these policy enforcers, is because when you look at the word police, it's a colloquialism for policy enforcers. They're not elected officials. The only bona fide elected law enforcement official that you would have within the states would be the county sheriff.
Right.
Okay, because he's elected.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Police chiefs are appointed. And then if you really want to get you some good reading, man, on the psychosis of the LAPD, read a book called Chief by Daryl Gates, okay, is because he was the chief of the LAPD when they had the 1992 riots there. And Daryl Gates had stated before the U.S. Congress, before the Rodney King case, well, the reason why black people die of the chokehold is because their ventricle veins do not reopen like they do in normal people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Once the pressure is released. Now, what is that? Now, I read his book called Chief. The man is a USC graduate. He always has scored highly on his promotional test. You see what I'm saying? But the dude, man, you know, he was a sociopath. He was a psychopath. You see what I mean? Because he tried to justify, you know, the killings of unarmed black people by the Los Angeles Police Department. Now, another case to look at, and check Johnny Cochran. I know you know who Johnny Cochran is.
Yes, I do.
Is the case in the murder of, yes, sir, in the case in the murder of Eula Love. Okay, and that there was a very, very sickening case. So I'm going to ask you to pull that up in your spare time to look at it.
I will.
Is because the LAPD had put 32 bullets in this woman. What had happened was she was living in South Central LA, which is a blighted area of Los Angeles. Okay, she has kids that she has to raise. So her water had got, the gas man or the gas utility worker had came out to shut off her gas main to her house, okay? And when they came out to do it, she had pleaded with the gas man, hey, don't do it. Is because if you turn off my gas, I cannot have hot water to prepare proper meals for my children. And the state of California would hit me with child neglect, of which she was right about. Okay, so she lost it. She bopped the gas man upside the head with a shovel. Okay, that's ADW. Okay, so therefore he calls the LAPD. The LAPD comes out there. She had a knife. They told her to throw down the knife. She didn't do it. Okay, so they put 32 bullets in her. And Daryl Gates tries to rationalize this as rapid fire syndrome, but in actuality, this is overkill.
No shit.
I could see if they shot to wound her to take her into custody. But to put 32 bullets in this woman in front of her children
versus a shovel.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this?
No, I do see where you're going. I got to get going here, but here's my deal with this. So the thing is, okay, but we're kind of, the original argument was the reparations and poverty, and I understand that you're right. All the examples you gave are examples of this. Of all this shit happens because of poverty, but maybe the payment shouldn't be tied just to race. Maybe it should literally just be tied to being poor. You know what I mean? So
okay. Now on the reparations, okay, there are those that are doing research on it, and they want to have them lineage based, meaning that you would have to prove, which I can, is that you are descendants of slaves of the South. Okay, is because there's a lot of debate on it. You know what I mean? About, well, as you said, you weren't born a slave, okay, but is it lineage based? Do you have lineage back to slavery? Me personally, yes, I do, okay, it's because we researched our family tree and we tracked my ancestors down to 1847 in Montgomery, Alabama, which was the cradle of the Confederacy. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the sugar cane that was harvested, like in Louisiana and what have you, and other parts of the South, where old Granddad and Jack Daniels and what have you, they benefited greatly on that. So it's a sensitive issue, but it also is a complicated issue, but it's not one, man, that should not be swept up under the rug. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's because particularly with an election coming up. Now, I do understand, the reason, well, you weren't a slave, this, that, there, the other. But when you look at police brutality, when you look at racial profiling, when you look at a guy like George Wallace, who was the governor of Alabama, well, segregation yesterday, segregation today, and segregation tomorrow. When you look at the case of Arkansas, of the Little Rock Nine, that Sarah Huckabee down there saying tear down the monuments, of the Little Rock Nine. You see, and I think that there is a huge injustice, and you are marginalizing the brutality and savagery of this travesty. You see what I mean?
Yes, and that
also too.
And sir,
yes, go ahead.
I gotta get going, and let's leave it at that, because that is a good point about the fact that you are marginalizing those people and that issue. And I want you to call back, okay? I gotta let you go.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Nice talking to you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, Eric, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, who's this? Hold on. Hello.
Bianchi calling.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
You said that the Minneapolis case was terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was. Here's the deal: of all of those cases, I thought that was the most egregious one. That's what I thought personally.
Well, see, here's the point on that. Minnesota law says that a person that's legally carrying a gun, when they come in contact with a police officer, they don't have to tell them that they have a weapon. That's what the law says, and there's some states like that.
Yeah, there's also the other thing, but I have to point this out, Keontae. The other thing about that particular case is that the previous caller was talking about how the policeman got off, and that reason is because Minnesota law says that, and this doesn't apply to average people, only police officers. That if the police officer feels that his life is in danger, he can shoot. It doesn't say whether a reasonable person would find that dangerous, just whether the police officer feels that his life's in danger. Well, people feel fucking everything.
Well, we see where people have assisted victims. Citizens have assisted victims and got charged with crime themselves.
Yeah.
So do they need reparations? Another thing, the police officer told Castile, don't go for it. It's right there on the video. He told him, don't go for it.
Yeah, but he was
trying.
trying.
Time he pulled out a gun. It doesn't. He should have known the law. The law says you don't have to tell a police officer that you have a weapon.
But I think I was under the impression the point was that he couldn't pull out his driver's license without pulling out the gun. Wasn't that what's going on?
That ain't what he said. That's not what he said. It's not what Castile said.
Oh, okay.
The police officer said, do not go for it. And he went for it, so police officers could have been going to use it on him. Now, the trial was had, and he was found not guilty. Mike Brown, I know Mike Brown very well because I was about a mile away from Cantil Drive in West Florida, where that incident occurred. Mike Brown charged Derek Wilson. Previously, he had came around on the driver's side when Derek Wilson backed up. He was going by Mike Brown and two others that was walking in the middle of the street. And Derek Wilson was rushing to a call. And he drove by them and said, y'all need to get out the street. They F'd him. He backed up. Mike Brown comes around on the passenger side, reach in and try to take Derek Wilson's gun. A bullet is discharged inside the vehicle. Mike Brown did at that time, I guess he realized he'd done something wrong, and he tried to walk off. Wilson got out the truck and told him to halt. Brown turned around. Then he charged Wilson, and he got shot. What was he supposed to do?
I gotta admit, I'm not actually familiar with this particular case. I'm not. I mean, I know the vagrant.
I know it. You're going by what the news reported. With George Floyd, another movie called Minnesota Burning shows that Chauvin did not have his knee on the neck of George Floyd. He had it on his shoulder. But regardless of that, the department had training manuals showing that if he did have his knee on his neck, it was legal because it was in the training manual.
Yeah.
In the court, the chief of police was asked about that procedure, and he said no. But Chauvin's mother pulled out the training manual and said, here it is in the training manual.
Yeah,
he lied in court, the chief did.
There's a woman named Liz Collin who made a movie called The Fall of Minneapolis, and she's been researching this for years. I haven't actually seen the movie. I've been trying to get her on the show, but she basically says that Chauvin didn't actually kill George Floyd. That's her contention.
The man was on drugs and everything else. And if he had been sentenced the correct way, when him and about four others forced their way into this white female's home when she was pregnant, he pointed a gun in her pregnant belly, shoved her on the couch, and they began to ransack her house for money. In the aftermath, they stole a van which broke down not far from the home, and that's where they got caught.
Yeah.
Another thing, you talk about this reparation. Slavery was not illegal. Slaves were not citizens of the United States. They weren't.
Well, my
and
thing,
another point,
and what wasn't
the United States?
Go ahead.
The federal government did not profit off of slavery. How? How did they profit off of slavery?
Well, the United States didn't,
Only
but a
the
whole
federal
bunch of
government
private.
profits off slavery.
You can't really argue against the fact that a whole bunch of private businesses did. You know, I don't know if you could say that
It was
American.
private. It was private businesses that was, if they was licensed and paying taxes, they paid it to the municipality or the state that they were operating in.
Yeah, well, like I told the previous
federal
caller, my problem with the reparations is it's been too goddamn long. You know, if you're going to do that, you should have done it like before 1900. You know, that's my thing. I mean, right now, you know, I mean, yeah, you can trace lineage and all that sort of crap, but the thing is, there's not a single person alive right now who was a slave, and it's like, you know, and I'm saying that even recognizing the fact that, like I said, there's a lot of black families who have been really messed up by multiple generations of poverty, but I don't think the reparations are the answer. I really don't.
You know the simplest way out of poverty?
Okay,
Get
go
an
ahead.
education.
What?
Get an education.
Yeah. Well,
A
and
meaningful education.
he was talking about the
This
same
is
thing,
shown
about the
that
fact that a lot of black students are screwed, and I think there might be some argument to that too.
they are the statistics show that blacks are highly overrepresented in low paying majors in college. Well, that's not, you have to go and apply yourself and get degreed in the things that's in demand.
Yeah.
Not black history, a librarian. They don't pay any money. Psychology, that you need to be in the fields that's in high demand, that pays high wages and high salaries.
Yeah.
And the federal government is not, if you're gonna seek reparations from somebody, and we know that the time limit, the statute of limitation is up, then seek it from those that actually cause the harm. That's where the standing is. Federal government didn't profit off of slavery. Hell, there was not an income tax. So
No,
how
that's
did
true.
businesses pay to the federal government?
I have economists on this show, Murray Sabrin, on a regular basis. The income tax in America didn't start till 1905. You know, I mean, and it was
1913.
it was 2%, and people thought the world was going to go to hell. They were right.
The United States made money off of tariffs, basically.
Yeah, that's right, and fees,
and
right?
Tariffs and fees. That's right.
Yeah.
So and then too, who's mixed? If you're mixed 25-50% with white blood, say Irish blood, then do your Irish relatives over in Ireland?
See, and that's one of the problems with the whole thing. That's one of the problems. What do you do with mixed race people? Do they get half the amount? I mean, the whole thing is so complicated. It's ridiculous. It's like, you know, I don't know.
So if you had a legal case and you Muhammad Ali, whose ancestry goes back into a town in Ireland called Eunice, what does his descendants over there in Eunice, Ireland, what part of $1,000, if that was the total sum, would they get? Would they get 50%?
I don't know.
Leave you with 500?
I can't answer. The whole thing gets so complicated. It's ridiculous to me. I don't see how you could figure it out.
Slaves weren't paid. The slaves weren't paid. Well, how did they buy their loved ones out of slavery?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah. So all that stuff is a bunch of on and on ridiculousness, and it don't go no place. Now, if somebody is kind-hearted, want to give those people some money, fine, let them give it to them. But I don't want my tax dollars going toward that. And I'm black.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay.
And many of us don't.
I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I think there is a problem when you have multiple generations of not just black people, anybody in America. It is very, very difficult for families to drag themselves out of poverty. I know people do it. You know, maybe you did too. I mean, it's possible. It's not impossible, but it's very, very hard.
Name me an ethnic group in this country that did not have hard, trying times.
Yeah,
you had Westinghouse.
That's true.
And you had many others.
I'm a first generation American. My family is very poor.
Elon Musk used to eat sardine sandwiches.
Yeah, I know from firsthand experience. Yeah.
Look at the gentleman that started UPS. He had to borrow money from his grandmother.
Yeah. I know all about this on a personal level. So, yeah, and
So ridiculous. My profession was my company erected multi-story buildings like the ones that fell down in 9/11 in New York.
uh-huh.
And done that for over 4 decades. So I didn't was successful in that because of the color of my skin. No, we done it because we knew what the hell we was doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that certainly helps, doesn't it? I don't know until DEI, I suppose. I don't know.
And that there's another impediment.
That's
But what
right.
I'm saying is that a lot of this stuff is a waste of time on the discussion, but let people have those discussions if it makes them happy. I don't think it's going to go anyplace. Now, you can't stop a state from paying whatever they want to.
No,
If
that's right.
citizens allow that,
That's right.
that's good.
You know,
You can't stop companies if they want to do like Wells Fargo, give 50,000 or 55 million to the NAACP because of some conscious pending on their soul. Then that's fine for Wells Fargo.
well, people, I feel
But
very
you know, there's
strongly,
a lot
people
of
should
crime that
be able
goes
to give
on.
their money
And
away to
look at the
anybody they
crime
want. So,
yeah, look at the crime in your major cities like in Chicago. That costs money. That costs people loss in assets. Blacks that lived in Ferguson who had moved from crime in the city of St. Louis from areas like Walnut Park, Penrose Park, the Ville, they moved out into the ring cities and towns outside of St. Louis like Ferguson and had lived there since the 60s. But after those riots and stuff, they had to move, thus leaving the assets in the property that they. So who's going to compensate them?
yeah.
And you know where they moved? They moved across the Missouri River into St. Charles County. That's 90% white, and the police departments are probably 100% white, all the way out to New Mexico, Missouri. So they couldn't have been running from white police if they moved into a community that was more white police than where they came from. Now answer that.
I can't. I just can't. I don't know what to say. So, matter of fact, Keontae, I got to let you go again because I got
And
to.
the schools aren't, and real quick, the schools aren't underfunded. I know school districts in St. Louis area that have more money per child than white districts.
Oh, the schools aren't underfunded at all. That's complete bullshit. They got plenty of money. They got more than enough money. They just squander it. That's all. They don't know what they're doing. Let me give you an example here.
Public school district.
Keontae,
St. Louis Public School District, I built about 8 brand new buildings.
uh-huh.
Those buildings wasn't lacking in any amenities whatsoever.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's typical for a new high school in America to cost $100 million. That's not unusual now. You know, they put them up all the time. If you're in construction, you know this. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I hear these arguments all the time, and I just listen to them. So it's best to just let these people talk until they finally hit on something that's pertinent. Then you can address them. But if they're just talking, nothing is pertinent.
Yeah.
There's no substance to it. Just let them talk.
I'm trying to get
and relieve their tension.
the whole idea of what I'm doing here is giving people the opportunity to talk. I don't really, you know, I have some thoughts on some issues and on some I don't. So, you know, it's like I just want people to talk. I think it's good, like you said. I think it's good for people to just
and you know, one key thing, when Sherman marched into Atlanta, he burned 12 million bales of cotton that was there for export. Well, what about those people? 12 million bales of cotton, that costs a lot of money. They lost out on that.
Right.
They lost their homes and businesses. You had over 350 some odd thousand white males and boys lost their life fighting for the Union side against slavery. And you had black males who lost fighting on the Confederate side.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy. You know, it's.
So who's going to pay the descendants of those white males that fought on the Union side? Who's paying those families reparations?
I just want to point out.
The male got killed that left the female with children to try to maintain the household. Many times they couldn't. So who pays them reparations?
I want to thank you because I just want to point out here that this evening was basically an example of what you're talking about, and then as we had two black men call up arguing two different points of view. so it's like it's obviously not race, you know. It's like, so I don't know. You still there?
Yes, I could tell you quite a bit more about that thing about this any court. Hell, in Kansas City, in their DSA case, you had Judge Russell Clark who asked the activists, what is it that we need to do to turn these academic performances around? A school district with 33,000 students. The activist said, we need $1 billion. You know what the judge said? I'll give you $2 billion.
Oh, Jesus.
$2 billion.
God.
$2 billion with a population of 33,000. What did that equate to? That equates to about $60,000 per student.
Yeah.
That's Harvard money.
That's right. I know. That's nuts. That's crazy. Now, you know, one of the things one of the things I feel very strongly about is that climate change is a hoax. And so I had a guy on here, Patrick Moore. He's one of the founders of Greenpeace, and he's now against climate change. He's a famous climatologist. He's a scientist. So he comes on the show, and 2 weeks later, this is the UN puts on their website. They said they put up pages and said, you know, we can solve climate change, but we need $75 trillion. Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, you know who they want the majority of that from? The United States.
That's right. That's absolutely correct, because the website's in English. You know, yeah. We can solve the problem for $75 trillion. They can solve their education issue for $2 billion. Go ahead, just ask them. Yeah. All right. Okay, Chianti, I got to go because believe it or not, we're off the air here in about 13 minutes. I got to wrap this up. So I want to thank you for calling tonight. We've had some fascinating discussion. I really appreciate it. Please call back. Yep, he's gone. Yeah. Yeah, we did. This was really, really amazing. This is the most callers we've ever had ever. And I'm glad to hear it. And I'm right. We are going to be going off the air here in about 13 minutes. So I just want to we'd always do part 3 here, which is kind of the C block, but that's where I put all the paranormal shit. So I got here's a theory for you, a conspiracy theory that is very, very slightly based in fact, but still it's pretty weird. And that is, there's some people now who are proposing that Trump got shot, 2 weeks ago, because he has said that if he is elected president again, he's going to blow the lid on the UFO situation. Now, the reason you might think, well, why would they shoot him for that? Well, so there's evidence to indicate this is not evidence. I shouldn't say that. This is a verifiable fact. 10 days before John F. Kennedy was shot in Dallas. This is around the 12th of November, 1963. It's 10 days before the 22nd of November. John F. Kennedy signed an executive order ordering the Pentagon to start sharing everything America knew about UFOs with the Russians. Now, it actually says this in the document about UFOs. It says so they obviously had stuff to share. It didn't say what the information was, but it said I'm ordering the Pentagon to share this information with the Russians. 10 days later, he's dead. Now, that could be a coincidence, probably is, but still, there are people in the UFO community who said, he might have been killed because he wanted to share that information. People in Canada. Now, the interesting thing about dealing with Canada is that it's the Canadians. They're one of our closest military partners, and yet they're not bound by our security agreements and our security oaths. So there's a lot of people in the military, in defense in Canada, who know a lot of secrets about what's going on in the UFO situation in the United States, and the Canadians have said that the UFO situation in the U.S. is the single highest ranked secret in the entire U.S. military. That it's above top secret. It's like completely It's the single biggest secret that in terms of classification. That's what they've said. And Paul Hellyer, who was the former defense minister of Canada, or that would be our Secretary of Defense, parallel of Jesus, uh, parallel. Oh God, Jim, what am I thinking of? Parallel positions. So he passed away about 6-7 years ago. He was telling anybody who could who would listen to the last 20 years of his life. He said the Americans know all about the UFOs and the aliens. He said that. He said that to anybody basically who would listen, and he would know. So okay, so we got that. So um, and the other thing is, I talked about this at the top of the show because I wanted to give an example about secrecy, about the fact that yeah, there's these Nazca mummies that they have. There's 4 of them, not the 2 that Jamie Marsan showed to the Mexican Congress. Those turned out to be fake, but there's 4 others that apparently aren't fake, that the scientists from America, the United States, have gone down there and said there's something really, really strange going down here. These do not appear to be humans. And they're being very careful in couching their words. One example they gave recently, and they even showed pictures about the fact that these mummies, first of all, they only have 3 fingers. But even besides that, they don't have regular, ordinary human fingerprints. The fingerprints on these mummies do not match anything in the fingerprint repertoire for humans at all. Matter of fact, it's really weird. I've seen the pictures. They're very angular. The fingerprints are. I mean, our fingerprints, there's squirrels and rolls and, all that sort of stuff. These are very, very angular and straight. And they said that they don't match anything they've ever seen in humans. Now, there have been some preliminary DNA tests done on these mummies, and so far they're coming up as not human DNA. But once again, these people are being very careful, but because they do not want to. Frankly, they don't want to say anything that they're going to end up regretting, and I don't blame them, because it's a very important thing. If these mummies would be proved beyond a shadow of the doubt that they aren't human, at that point, they've basically proven that extraterrestrials exist. So they're being very careful, but yeah, that's where they're at so far. They said that it appears right now that these 4 mummies are not humans. So, at any rate, there's that. And finally, um, Ray Kurzweil. I'm a former professional musician, so I know about Ray. I know about Ray a lot because he made his money. Inventing and manufacturing synthesizers, musical synthesizers. The Kurzweil synthesizers have always been very, very highly regarded. I've never owned one, but I played them, and yeah, they're very good machines. But he made his money doing that. He has been predicting tech stuff he wrote a book called The Singularity is Near. And in that book, he said about 2050, humans will end up merging their brains with artificial technology, with machines or artificial software. And so far, he predicted the rise of the iPhone. He's predicted a lot of stuff that's turned out to be true. And he says we're right on that timeline. He thinks that by 2050, if not sooner, he's even said by 2030 that in 6 years is going to start. And it's actually already started already, that we're going to have humans with brain implants. And that will be really interesting, because then you got the haves and the have-nots. And it wouldn't be money, it'd be your implant. But if you want to see a very interesting discussion, I had Steve McIntosh on the show last week, and he wrote a paper about this. He's what he calls a developmental philosopher, about the fact that he actually agrees with me, and I have no this is just an offhand opinion of mine, but he's thought this through very carefully, and we came to the same conclusion, that AI, artificial intelligence, is never going to be as accomplished as humans, simply because they don't have a soul, in the sense that they have no external body they can relate to. So therefore, they're always going to be at a disadvantage. And I think that's true too. I don't think you're ever going to find. You might find AI that can compute way faster, or even like quote unquote think way faster than a human. But still, there's always going to be something missing, and it's not whether you believe in the concept of a soul or not. And there's more scientists who are trying, not only trying, but seem to be on the verge of proving that a soul scientifically exists. And we talked about that. That show is on Rumble. You want to see it? Macintosh, Steve McIntosh, guy's name. We talked about that at length about what the soul is, because a lot of people think it doesn't reside in your body. That's actually that basically we're receivers and we connect to something in the universe. We talked about that too. But anyway, Kurzweil thinks, and Neuralink, the company owned by Elon Musk, has already started this. They've already started implanting chips inside of humans, and there's already people who can control a cursor on a screen with their mind and without touching anything. That already exists. Matter of fact, that's existed for a few years now, and that software that is now actually kind of maturing. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what the hell happens, where we all end up. All right, that's our show for tonight. Almost exactly 2 hours. We're going to be kicked off the air in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up. Tomorrow night we got Ashton Forbes, this guy who's going to talk about his theory about how Malaysia Flight 370 disappeared. And Thursday got Jonathan Tobin. He's the executive editor of the Jewish News Service. That's the United States. That's an American-based service. And the timing here, we got really lucky. We did not know that Netanyahu is going to be talking to Congress tomorrow on Wednesday, and Tobin's coming on Thursday. So it'll be really interesting to see what he has to say. I'm Jim Peters. I want to thank you guys for listening and watching. We're on Blog Talk Radio. We get most of our calls from Blog Talk Radio, even though this is primarily a video service, but we're on live audio only at Blog Talk Radio every night. And I think it was Chianti actually referred to this. We've been having trouble connecting with them. Like last week, we couldn't connect at all. But I mean, we're generally on Blog Talk Radio live every night, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and on 5 other video services: Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, and Twitter. What am I thinking? Yeah, X. Those are the 5. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Jim Peters. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, Uncle Donnie. Good night, Esperanza, and good night to you wherever you are. Have a nice evening.